their pressure against them. But sometimes we may not feel like we don't want to risk taking our free knot to grab their arm, or maybe we don't have the wrist, okay? And they're just coming in. And that's where this can be a great entry into different attacks, all right? So then we're going to be talking about them basic, okay? So I don't have my knee, but I have my frame. Like I said, the people that I train with, they all have great pressure, okay? Either they've learned it from me, or, there were someone that helped me develop my pressure, like Sensei Shanji Hibero, okay? So I don't really want to let go of this on someone like Shanji or Victor Hugo or anything like that. So if he brings his knee in, I'm not going to risk letting go to do this, okay? I'm going to keep my frame in position, and once his knee comes in, I'm going to use the John Wayne sweep to make this moment right here happen, all right? Just to make him have the base, get myself out of that pressure, and now I can open up a lot of different follow-up options, all right? So just clarifying the difference between us completing this sweep or using the sweep to make them base, using the movement to make them base, and then open up some new opportunities for us, which we're going to discuss next. Okay, so we've broken down the John Wayne sweep, the mechanics, how it works. We talked about the fact that maybe we go for it and we only make them base. It doesn't become a full sweep. What are we going to look for whenever they base? All right, let's talk about that. So I know he's going to have to post this arm on the mat. All right, that's where I'm taking. So I have my great positioning. My knee's not there anymore. I'm framing hard. I'm making him drive in hard, okay? And his knee, boom, it slides over my knee. He's coming in, okay? I scoot under, and I give him that motion to make him base. All right, where can we go? First thing, I'm just going to switch this hand off to my cross block, bring my knees tight, where now I can start to find myself under this leg and going into my favorite sweeping position, once again, the Z guard, okay? Of course, you also could turn this into any sort of, leg entanglement attack as well, all right? All of that's going to be there for you too, okay? So just, once again, connecting moves we've already done. I'm going to cross block and come under the leg, and then I can go from there, all right? What else is available to us, okay? So, boom, we get him out of position, all right? Look at this space, all right? That's screaming underhook. And of course, he doesn't want to stay here, all right? He's going to try to base and immediately come right back. Sometimes he's going to come back, and then now I'm just going to shoot my arm in for that underhook, okay? And from here, I can start to set up, some of my half guard options with the underhook. My favorite one is going to be the Lucas Lake style half guard that we'll discuss next, all right? So this is a great way to find that underhook under pressure, all right? First, we just make him base. As soon as you base, I'm going to bring my arm through, and I'm going to bring him over at the same time. So super importantly, you see how my knees come towards my chest. So I bring him over me, and I can start to be a small ball underneath him, okay? I don't want to underhook and end up flat on my back with my arm all the way down here. Here, this is not a good underhook. Ideally, I want to underhook and have my elbow high and knee being balled up underneath. That's going to open up all my options to start to, wrestle up, get to his back, and all that good stuff with the underhook, okay? So let's look at that again. All right? He is holding tight. He brings the knee over. Boom. We give him the bump. He has the base, okay? Now, look how I bring my knees forward, all right? So he comes forward. Here's my underhook. Then I start to pivot and turn onto my side where I can work with this underhook, and find different options to, get behind or whatever I want to do. All right. Do it one more time from here. Okay. So he comes in. Boom. We bump. Look how the knees come forward. Here's my underhook. I can start to switch my legs and transition it to any other half guard game that I like. All right. There's one more that I like to look for from this position. Okay. Believe it or not, it's a guillotine. Sometimes they really wrap tight with this elbow. Okay. And he brings that knee in, and boom, I bump him over here. And now I know he wants to come back with his head down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my arm to the other side of his head. So as he comes back, I'm going to reach up and bring my arm over here. Okay. Now I can scoot away a little bit and find that chin. Here, if I go for it, it's kind of hard to find it. But if I scoot away a little bit, now I can get my arm around, chin strap, grab my pinky side, and then I'm right into my guillotine, okay? So, again, he comes in, I give him that bump, all right? I got him a little off. Maybe I didn't get him all the way over. From now, I'm just going to let him come back and cross my arm to this side and start to reach, okay? So now even if he tries to back away and kind of posture up, yeah, I know my arm is in position to be able to catch, okay? So I'm going to look for that chin strap, scoot my head back a little bit. Now I have good angle and pressure to go into my guillotine, all right? So a few different options off the John Lang. We can get to the legs. We can get our underhook, which can lead us into Lucas Leach half guard or a deep half guard, according to, what you would like to do there. And then we even can set up a submission with that guillotine. That's another one that I've used a lot in my training and works really well, catches them by surprise. All right, so now it's time for us to discuss the underhook. We can't talk about half guard without looking at our underhook and how to open up new doors, new angles, and the leverage that we have with that underhook, okay? Now, one thing I want to reiterate, I've kind of mentioned it briefly, but not using the underhook when we're on our back in bad position, our arms completely extended. This is not a good underhook. I want to make sure that every time I underhook, I'm in deep, my shoulders by my ear, and ideally, I want to be on my elbow, okay? So let's talk about that. Right, so the knee shield is a great position to help us find our underhook because our leg is where we need our arm to be, okay? So I just have to understand how to replace my leg with my arm and find that position, okay? The underhooks that I don't like is when he's pressuring in and I just put my arm in here, okay? This is not good because he can, just be heavy on this, like kind of put your elbow to my ribs and slide your body down a little bit. Yeah, here, it's this hard, okay? And then the more that I try to explode out of this, I'm going to be opening up the opportunity for him to mount me. So if I try to and use that underhook to lift him up, it's a beautiful time for him to mount. And then, it was all terrible, okay? So never just say, oh, I'm going to put my hand here and I'm going to have a good position. No, that's not the case, okay? This is not a good underhook. So understand the difference between a good underhook and a lazy, bad underhook, okay? So when I want a good underhook, I got to go get it, all right? I have to go to that position, okay? So I have my frame, I have my shield. Here's my opening, okay? All I like to do is give a little bit of a kick, okay? If I can get his head over onto this side, I know I'm not going to be met with a lot of weight, okay? Of course, there's going to be some weight, but it's not going to be as risky as if his head was right in front of me. So I redirect him a little bit, and now I go to that underhook, okay? You see how I got onto my elbow as I pummeled this all the way in, all right? Now, the first transition I want to look at is a bit of a more unique move, but one I've always enjoyed, all right? Coming up, I was more of a guard player, and I was pretty flexible as a kid. I'm still decently flexible, but I used to invert a lot and do some more like fancy positions, okay? And this has been one that I still use a lot to this day, especially when I have a good wrestler wizarding me, okay? Of course, I don't want to try to, out-wrestle the wrestler, right? So how can we use our legs to help us in this position? So what I'm going to do with my underhook is I'm going to start to come up and clasp down on his traps, all right? So my hand is now up high around his trap, okay? Now from here, I'm going to dip in. I'm going to dip this arm not in between his legs, but actually outside his legs. And I'm going to invert, okay? And I'm going to pull everything tight, and I'm going to start to use my leg to kick and look to take him over into a sweep just like this, all right? This is very smooth. It's almost like kind of tornado guardish, okay? The way we're spinning and going upside down, but we're having everything connected to load him onto our hamstrings and allow us to take him to the place where he has no base, all right? Because he's wizarding me, he has no base over there, okay? So again, we're going to go get this underhook. Okay? So I'm here. Remember, I don't want to go right here where now his head's right up, maybe his head blocks my chin, and this sort of thing happens and we didn't get onto our elbow. Okay? So let's make sure we give a little bit of a kick. Okay? Just use our shins, take them over to the side just a little bit and go elbow first. Okay? I don't want to retract my arm and try to meet it here. This can sometimes get blocked. Okay? When I go, I'm going to go with my elbow first. Okay? Now I can elbow up and find my underhook. You see how I use my elbow to give myself the space to enter my underhook. From here, I'm going to go straight up to his trap because I can see that he's wizarding. All right? And that's normally the case, right? So we're going to use that to our advantage. We have the trap. Now I'm going to dive under. Okay? Scoot this way.